I've recently become hopelessly addicted to Lego. These colourful chunks of interlocking joy have saved me from insanity this last year. I even built myself out of Lego, and my girlfriend. But then I built a Lego train set, and my disappointment was immeasurable. This measly loop of track was a far cry from the childhood fantasy I'd always envisaged of building a gigantic sprawling railway around my entire house. So I bought an extra box of track, and then I might have got slightly carried away. In total, I bought 52 boxes of additional track, consisting of 400 straight pieces, 200 curved pieces, 400 of these weird flexible pieces, and 4 switch pieces. Without doing any precise maths, I'm hoping this will be enough to satisfy that childhood dream of mine. But it's not going to be easy. Obstacle number 1, Mount Everest. Although only a single flight of stairs, for the Lego man it might as well be 8,000 metres. Summiting this peak will be no small accomplishment. Obstacle number 2, the English Channel. I mean, the Eurostar goes under the ocean, why can't a Lego train go through a paddling pool? Obstacle numbers 3 and 4, Ralph and Bella. These two meddlesome fluffballs are highly curious and love getting in the way. And I don't want this to just be a boring train ride around my boring house, so I'm going to add some obstacles of my own. If you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing. It really helps me out and enables me to make bigger, better and more ambitious videos. I got to work straight away on the stairs, since I figured they would be the hardest. Rather predictably, the train couldn't manage the angle of just going straight up. So I did some testing to find out what it could manage. I started at 5 degrees and first tested the train itself, then this second stripped back train with the GoPro mounted on, which I'd be using to film. Next was 10 degrees, and once again both trains could easily handle this gradient. 15 degrees was slower but doable, with the slightly heavier GoPro train just about managing. But at 20 degrees, the normal train really struggled, whilst the GoPro train simply failed. I mean, it would gain a bit more momentum each time it bounced off the sponge, but ultimately it was a no. At 15 degrees, the ramp would need to be around 9 meters long, so it would have to start in the living room. I tried to make use of any existing furniture for support, but added a table leg midway. I used boxes to hold it up behind the TV, and importantly, I built the track flat here. I've got this really cool effect in mind where the train sort of drives through the TV. It'll make sense in the finished video. Next, the track climbed onto a bookshelf where the GoPro could just about squeeze through the uprights before turning into the hallway, held up by a pair of tripods and across onto the shoe rack. This is completely in the way of the front door, so we're gonna have to duck down. From there, it was 2 planks of wood straight up, but it's here we encountered the first problem. I might have got my maths wrong. It's about 1.5 steps too short. The solution? A Lego spiral, of course. We have conquered Mount Everest. Next, I really like the idea of creating a tiny world only accessible to the train. So I want to make a rainforest contained inside a geodesic dome, similar to the Eden Project or Singapore's Gardens by the Bay. First I rolled about 70 sheets of A3 paper, cut them to size and drilled holes in the ends. From this I used butterfly clips to hold them together. The whole structure got sturdier the further I built, but increasingly more fiddly and frustrating. I almost rage quit on more than one occasion, but with copious amounts of unsightly sellotape, I got there in the end. Obstacle number 3 came to inspect my handiwork, and clearly thought it was intended for him. So I've just put a waterproof liner down to protect the floor and drafted the track layout. It's going to be raised about 10 or 15 centimeters to allow for the height of the plant pots, so right now I'm going to build the wooden frame. I covered each plank of wood with camouflage tape to help them blend in, and then screwed on the track. There we go. Next I added some interestingly shaped chunks of wood, including one that would form an archway for the train to go under. And once I added the plants, it was transformed into a lush jungle, finished off with moss and some fake leaves. I also added this Miss Machine fountain thing, as well as 5 or 6 little Lego figures for you to try and spot along the way. This whole thing is so cool, and some of the views you get inside are crazy. I mean, look at this. Obstacle number 4 was evidently a fan too, although obstacle number 3 tried to eat the plants. This is why I call you obstacle number 3, Ralph. Finally, I used giant bubble wrap to seal each panel and really make it feel like a glass house. And it's done! I'm so excited to see how it looks with the train. Next up is the English Channel. Now, unlike the Eurostar, which goes under the seabed itself, I want my channel crossing to be a clear tunnel through the water. I used a small metal framed paddling pool and 2 Perspex tubes, each about a metre long. They're slightly too short to go from one side to another, but if I double them up and join them in the middle, there'll be a lot of wasted tube, so I decided to instead have 2 separate tunnels running diagonally. I roughly made the holes, removed the protective film, and fed the tube through. I used flex tape to seal the edges on the outside and sealant on the inside. I did an incredibly shoddy job, and it's certainly nothing to look at, but fingers crossed it will hold. I repeated this for the second tunnel, then added the track. But I'm not done with the pool just yet. I want some track to go over the pool too, and for this we need some help from an old friend. The Golden Gate Bridge. For those unfamiliar, I built this bridge a few years ago for my cat Reggie, to cross from my bedroom window to my garage. Sadly, Reggie has since died, and the bridge has been collecting dust for a couple of years, so I'm delighted to be putting it back to use. I ran it across the length of the pool, and using my now trademark shoddy woodworking skills, cobbled together a ramp for the track on either side. Connect it all together and attached the track, and it was time to fill the pool. I started what I hoped would be a really cool time-lapse of the water level rising, but of course it started raining and I had to rescue my phone. And as if the British weather wasn't weird enough, I awoke the next morning to snow. Oh, and the pool had entirely drained. I evidently did a terrible job sealing it. Once the snow had melted, I added more tape and we were good to go. Now upstairs we have 2 obstacles left. In my office, I want to create basically a Lego town. Very simply, the train driving around all the Lego sets I've built so far, including a haunted house, the Disney castle, the Disney train station, and a tree house to name a few. I also added a ton of minifigures, which obstacle number 4 took great joy in knocking over. And finally, in my bedroom, I want to build a light tunnel, going under the bed, curving round and back out the room. I built the basic track shape out of wood and attached the track. That's the track layout all sorted, and obstacle number 4 has tired herself out from destroying my Lego town. Next I numbered each piece so I knew where they went, and took them apart again. I'd be using glow sticks for the light itself, and would attach them directly into the wood. I drilled holes at 9cm intervals on both sides, and then pressed in the little plastic connectors. In total there'd be 87 glow sticks over about 7 or 8 meters of tunnel. Once I reassembled the track, I activated the glow sticks, positioned them, and covered the whole thing in black card to keep it dark inside. That's the tunnel all done. It looks awful on the outside, but inside, trust me, it looks so cool. And that's it, the track was finished. I was delighted with how everything turned out, and obstacles 3 and 4 were a lot less disruptive than I thought they'd be. I guess I can go back to calling them Ralph and Bella now. With the construction crews packing up and going home, all that was left was to put a Lego me in the driver's seat. A massive thank you to Danielle for helping and putting up with all the train track everywhere.